Hey, John.
Hi, from the other room.
Yes. Thank you so much for hosting SheFi Office Hours with me, SheFi Season 10. Really excited to have this conversation today and to let people know what's been going on with SheFi and the plans we have for the future. And just welcome everyone who's joined SheFi today, especially our brand new batch of scholars who we welcomed yesterday. If you see them tweeting, definitely congratulate them and give them a shout out for taking that first step on their journey to reinvent their career in Web3. So today, John is hosting me. John, you want to get started and ask me some questions?
Yeah, hey, I'm John. I'm Maggie's fiance. I'm subbing in for probably a very powerful woman who probably couldn't make it. We're gonna do a couple questions that we have prepared, and then folks from the audience should feel free to jump in. I know you super well, obviously. Maybe not everyone knows your whole story. Would love to hear about your childhood. Where'd you grow up? What were you like as a kid?
Yes, love that question. I was, thinking about one of the most salient memories from my childhood. And I spent most of my life growing up in the Midwest in Chicago. But before then, I moved around a bit. I was actually born in Seattle. Then my family moved to a small town called Neenah, Wisconsin. And then I ended up in Libertyville, Illinois in the first grade. And shortly after I moved to Libertyville, I went to a brand new school and had my first music class ever. And actually, that day after school, my music teacher followed my mom home, followed her car home. And she stopped her on her driveway. My mom was definitely a little freaked out. And she said, "Hey, I'm Mrs. DePrima. I'm your daughter's music teacher. Your daughter can sing. She's going to be spending a lot of time with me." My mom was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And I share that story because Mrs. D really formed my entire life. And I spent my whole life up until college, Monday through Sunday, dancing and singing. So musical theater, tap, jazz, ballet, performing. And Mrs. D really taught me how to love storytelling. So whether it was through dance or through music, you're not just communicating words or movements, you're communicating emotions, you're communicating stories. And something else that was really pivotal about Mrs. DePrima in my life is she was the first, non-parent person that believed in me and made me think and feel that I was capable of doing anything I wanted. She really helped me dream and dream big. An example of this is she had two older daughters. They were probably in their 20s and 30s when I was in the fourth grade. And I found out they both went to Northwestern University. And from that moment, I was like, I'm going to go to Northwestern University. And I went home and I told my parents that Mrs. D had told me that I can get into Northwestern University. For those of you that don't know, it's a college in the United States that is pretty difficult to get into. It's very scholarly. And so in the fourth grade, my parents were like, "You're going to have to do really well in school. Like, you're going to have to get really good grades. You're going to have to be a leader. You're going to have to, prove all these things to this university." And I was like, "I'm going to do it." And I did it. Senior year of high school, I found out that I got into Northwestern University, and I had done a lot of things to get in there. And the main thing I take away from my relationship with Mrs. D and my childhood was that, as I mentioned, she really made me think I was capable of anything. And I believe that I've taken that into every aspect of my life. So I've never had self-limiting beliefs. I think I can do anything I put my mind to. And I hope what I bring into SheFi as well is that I instill that belief into all the women I meet. I remember how powerful and defining it was for me as a child to have someone who was not my relative say, "You can do this. I believe in you," and truly believed in me up until my senior year of high school. She shortly passed away after
Hey,
that.
hey, Maggie, we're on the wrong link. We're just on the wrong link entirely. It's the Unlonely app link. So yeah, wrong link.
No, it's streaming to all
Oh, is
destinations.
it?
Are people saying that
There's no audio or video on the Unlonely stream.
there's no audio or
Oh,
video?
is it working? Can see in here. Okay.
Oh,
So sorry. I'm looking at mine and I can't see it. Okay. Sorry. Some can, some can't.
some can, some can't. How do we, where are people tuning in? This is
On
the live AMA.
unlonely.app/channels/SheFi. They have to press play.
They have to press play. You have to press play bottom right, as I wrote in the email. Make sure you press play. If you're having trouble with that, I just sent you an email for a YouTube link, or you can join on Twitter. So if you just go to SheFi's Twitter, you'll be able to see it. So be sure to check your email. Okay,
Sorry
cool.
for derailing us. Okay, back
No,
to
I think that was a good story. So I think it's time to end.
So back to you were a kid, Mrs. DePrima, very important for your development as a dancer. Like, your ETH address is discoqueen.eth, very unique. What is it about dance, disco culture? Like, what is it that appeals to you?
Yes, I always make a joke that I was born into the wrong decade. I'm a big lover of disco music, house music. I actually DJ disco and house music. That really goes back to my childhood growing up with music and singing and dancing. And I really love the icons of the 70s, right? These were women. This was Donna Summer, like the most iconic house disco song of all time. Cher, all these women were really, bucking the trends and female first and very inclusive. And dance floors and dance spaces became inclusive safe havens for people of all backgrounds, genders, people they love. And something about that era and that unity that music brings together, along with those really avant-garde women, like women really setting the stage for this music, I speaks very deeply to me. And that kind of culture, that culture of an inclusive dance floor, that culture of music that makes you feel joyful and good, and that those figures of women, those really iconic women that were the queens of disco, it really inspires me. And so it's my favorite music to listen to. I've had the ENS handle, that's my Ethereum wallet address name, discoqueen.eth, since 2017. So it's definitely a big part of who I am and what I bring into SheFi. Every single class starts with a song, likely a disco song that relates to the topic that we're talking about. So we're not just going to jump in and get right into class. You're going to get 3 to 4 minutes to unwind from your day or begin your day with a song and really get into a different mindset for learning, kind of shed your coffee spilling, shed the work day you had, and come to class ready just to learn in a fun environment.
Tell me about the founding story, right? SheFi is such an amazing community that you built. Like, how did it start?
Yeah, so I've been in the crypto space since 2017. I went full-time into the Ethereum ecosystem at Consensus in August of 2017, and I lived through the rise and crash of Ethereum. So I experienced my first bull market in 2017 to 2018, all white papers, ICOs. Everyone wanted to put a blockchain on everything. I was taking really amazing strategic client calls. And then end of 2018, ETH falls to $80. A very dark time, very depressing, stressful. Was I going to have a job? I had just gotten my first apartment in New York that I could rent on my own. All of those feelings that people may have been feeling the past year or so as well. So I empathize with you. But then in that quiet, there started popping up the first use cases in Ethereum that you could actually use, moving beyond white papers to you could make a transaction on the blockchain into an application. And these are called decentralized finance, or DeFi. And what I noticed in early 2019 is everyone building DeFi, talking about DeFi on stage, using DeFi, happened to be all men. And they were like, oh, we're building a more inclusive finance. We're building more accessible finance for everyone. And I was like, wait, you look like the same people that already benefited from traditional finance and you're already in crypto. So how can you be really talking about accessible finance if women and people historically excluded from traditional finance are not building, using, marketing, understanding these tools? And I just decided that I wasn't going to let that happen. And that was early 2019. I just started meditating on how can I get women to start using decentralized finance? And how can I not only help them use it, but really understand what's going on under the hood? So they can not only use Compound or Aave or Uniswap, but they can go build with Compound, Aave, and Uniswap.
Yep.
So I was just really thinking about how do I get women more risk averse? They say women are risk aware. How do I get them to start playing with these on-chain applications? And then I was on a run that summer, really thinking about these concepts, and just all these words were in my head. And I was listening to EDM music and just thinking DeFi, crypto, blockchain, DeFi, women, DeFi, SheFi, that's a good name. And I was at home at the time. I ran home to tell my mom and dad, and they were like, we don't know what that is, but that's an amazing name. And it felt very divinely inspired. And I believe in my intuitions. I really listen to them. They've always led me in the right direction when I listen. And so it just felt like SheFi was this program I needed to start to help women become contributors to the crypto space through learning about and using decentralized finances. That was V1, and that's a little bit of the origin story.
So around the same time, or maybe a little bit earlier, you founded a company. Like, tell me about that.
I like to say I've had 9 lives in crypto. So when I joined the space in 2017, I joined Consensus, and about 3 weeks into Consensus, I was still really learning like what Ethereum and a blockchain was. Like there was no website. There was nowhere to learn about crypto except like Vitalik on Reddit. This company, Advanced Micro Devices, massive GPU company, you might have heard of them because all of the excitement in the AI space, came into Consensus and they wanted to learn about how they could build data hardware, build hardware data centers for crypto. And somehow that deal landed on my desk. Like I said, I was still learning about what all these things were, working all around the clock to put together this presentation for Dr. Lisa Su, the CEO of AMD, an amazing woman, and put together this presentation. And then Joe Lubin, the founder of Ethereum, was like, in the meeting, he was like, whoa, like you put all these materials together? And I was like, yeah, just my 3rd week of Consensus. And he's like, okay, good, close this deal for me. And I was 26, 27. I had never closed a massive deal with a company, that's probably in the Fortune 500 or something like that. And just figured out how to negotiate, figured out how I would close a deal if I was Joe Lubin. And in 2018, I actually did close this deal to start a company called Web3 Cloud. And we were building GPU-based data centers for Ethereum mining and other crypto workloads. Filecoin is another network that we supported. And then we were just dipping our toes into decentralized AI compute when it ended last year. So actually, until this year, I had a whole other job that I was doing next to SheFi.
Well, we gotta pause there. You can't just say it ended last year. How did it end? What happened?
Yes, there were multiple forces at play. So in 2021, because it's a hardware-based company, you need to raise a lot of capital, billions of dollars, in order to buy more hardware chips. We live in the era of software where things are not that expensive. And my 2 co-founders decided that they wanted to take the company public on the New York Stock Exchange in 2021. And to do that, you have to be approved by the SEC. And unfortunately, if you're in the United States, the SEC is not very friendly to the crypto space right now. So right before end of 2021, some Bitcoin mining companies went public, but then it became very hard. So we kept trying to go public. We were spending lots of money on bankers and lawyers. We couldn't get approved no matter what we did. We weren't staking. The SEC would be like, what do you think about Ethereum staking? It was a really tough regulatory environment. There were some other financial decisions out of my control made. And unfortunately, just a multitude of market factors, investor confidence, the bear market last year, the company shut down actually on my birthday last year. So August 2023. So, I really made peace with it. I wasn't too distraught by it. Life happens. I really am one of those people that trusts in my timing and that everything happens for a reason. But it was definitely quite the roller coaster to go from, I'm taking a company public on the stock market to nothing. Like you don't get anything when a company shuts down. So all the options I bought go to zero. The financial outcome goes to zero. But, of course, lots of incredible lessons learned along the way about, building and scaling hardware companies in the decentralized space.
And afterward, I know you were thinking about what to do next, and you had SheFi. I mean, at the time, SheFi was kind of like had done a number of cohorts, but really it was like primarily this cohort-based learning program. And now there are corporate trainings. There's a global event series. There's all of these community events that you throw. It's like a very vibrant group of women, and it's because you went all in. What gave you the courage to go all in?
Yes, that's a great question because you would say before I was hedging a bit. I really started SheFi in 2019 after Web3 Cloud on the side, just started teaching classes, and SheFi exponentially grew, without me having to do that much. Like it was this incredible journey. And we're at this place in 2023. We just started our 9th cohort, 2,200 women in the community from 50 countries. We had done our first SheFi Summit in Paris, where over 300 people came and had incredible speakers. And at the time Web3 Cloud was falling apart, that same week, PayPal came in to sponsor SheFi. And once again, I listened to my intuition. It was a bit of divine grace that one thing so clearly ended, and another thing was getting a positive signal from the universe that this is what you should be focusing on. That was a really special partnership. We were able to give out tons of scholarships because of the PayPal sponsorship. We did another SheFi Summit in Istanbul, and it's just so obvious that SheFi is at this point where it can really scale beyond me teaching classes. It can become like a worldwide movement, but it couldn't be done with me doing it on the side. So how do I actually onboard the women beyond Web3 in a more scaled way? How do I reach them? That takes focus. That takes learning how to say no, which is a difficult journey for me. So it was just the right time. I got some divine signs from the universe to really focus on SheFi. And I'm very happy I did, because already I'm seeing the benefits of giving SheFi all of my attention, energy, focus, creativity that it deserves.
Okay, so what's the master plan? I mean, you've grown. Look, I mean, we spend pretty much every waking minute together, so I see how insanely committed you are to this community. I mean, I remember we were flying to Taiwan to go meet my family, and I'm just passed out, but I can like kind of hear the keyboard clacking next to me on this 16-hour flight. You clearly want to take over the world. You clearly want to buy your community. What's the master plan? What can we expect in the next couple months and years?
Yes, yeah, John was definitely passed out. It was 2 a.m, and I was responding to potential SheFi sponsors and making sure the community was set up before I took off to spend time with your family. So let's talk about this year. It's going to be a really exciting year. We're about to start season 10, the next cohort. And even more exciting is we've set out a more aggressive event roadmap. So SheFi started as this virtual community because I started it during lockdown. I did a private cohort in 2019. I did my first public cohort in 2020. We were all just sitting indoors. And shortly after, in 2021, when we had our first small get together in New York of 13 women, the stories they shared made me realize that the in-person piece of community building is extremely important. So how do we do that when we're a global community in 50 plus countries? And that's why in 2023, we were like, we must do these in-person events to continue the learning, to continue the connecting, to continue, bringing people together. That's like really important. So this year we were like, we did 2 SheFi Summits and we had so much fun. A lot of work goes into them, but it's a really incredible collaborative experience with lots of inspiring women in the space. So we're going to Denver, February 28th. We're going to Brussels, July 7th. So that's the day before ETHCC. We're going to Token 2049 in Singapore. We really close to ETH Global, and we'll know they'll be there. And we are going to Bangkok for DevCon. So we really follow the big crypto events. We believe in being where we think our community is going to be. Likely, you're already going to one of these with your company, or we're meeting you in one of the major geographies where the Ethereum community is going to be. We're also doing 2 community-led events, one in Seoul by Erica King and one in Nairobi, Kenya, which I'm super excited about with ETH Safari. So, continuing that learning, continuing creating opportunities for people to meet and connect. Many people get hired coming to SheFi events. They're wearing a SheFi beanie, they get hired. They came to a SheFi happy hour in New York. They're now like strategy at a big data availability company. So for me, it's really important to create those moments. So next year, what you can expect this year is a lot of events, 2 cohorts, and really scaling up our community infrastructure. So we're going to be doing a lot more virtual programming, a lot more amplifying the incredible women we have in our community, giving them space to share, and really facilitating more peer-to-peer expertise sharing. So that's another part that I'm really excited to nurture, this virtual community as well. So community, I would say, is like our biggest focus for 2024. How do we keep bringing people together? Some exciting things we're also working on is SheFi is going back to Fidelity, Center for Applied Technology of Fidelity, to teach another cohort. So now corporates have started coming inbound and saying, hey, I want to scale up my employees. Hey, I want to make sure all the women in my company know crypto, right? Fidelity is making a huge play into the ETF space. So they had me last year, they're bringing me back this year. I'm working on a few other corporate plays as well. So cohort, corporate, community. And then finally, the last thing we're really focusing on is that career support. So right now, the career support we have is we collect all of your resumes. We ask you to opt in if you want them shared. We post lots of jobs in our Discord and our Telegram, and then I will, pass on that information to all of my connections. So I'm connected to basically every Web3 company and protocol you could think of. And if I have a connection, I'll forward your resume and bio. This year, we're actually going to bring a recruiter to SheFi to really streamline that process and not only get your resume in front of the best Web3 companies that you want to be in front of, but give you feedback on your resume. So like I said, this really all comes down to harnessing and nurturing that community and making sure when new members come into SheFi, they really get that support to reinvent their career, to get that job at that company where they can get that paycheck that they're super excited about. I'm all about making sure women are ready to be in this ecosystem, contribute, have careers, and shape this future that we're all in together. So we're doing that through content, community, corporate trainings, and career. That's and all of these are experiments this year. We're taking baby steps to improving all these areas and nurturing them. And then I hope in 5 years, SheFi is millions of women all over the planet. I'm able to hire people that are incredibly competent to really run a lot of these parts for me. And I'm able to, just make sure I'm out there bringing in as many people as possible. Last thing I'll say, for a long time, SheFi was this side thing. So I wasn't able to always get all of the support I needed. I've had amazing support, but it wasn't all the support. So this year is about figuring out how I can really make sure that SheFi is turning into like a company. So going from a side hustle to a company, and there's going to be lots of lessons there and lots of improvements. And then in 2029, it'll be truly a global organization that is supporting millions of women.
Last question. I mean, incredible roadmap. Last question before we turn it over to the community and the supernovas. Please put your questions in the chat too. This is an AMA. We just seeded it with some of our own questions, but we'd love to hear your questions. And it can be about anything, personal work, SheFi, etc. Last question. It takes a certain mindset, courage, whatever you want to call it, to kind of do something like this. And I've sensed the shifts being your partner. Like, what do you feel like you're in a new mindset? Do you feel like you're in a new spiritual state? Like, I've sensed a really big change for you, more confidence, even more lightness. I mean, you're already so full of lightness, even more grace, like even more generosity. Like, where's that coming from?
Yes. Being a founder, putting yourself out there publicly is one of the hardest things you can do spiritually. It's one of the hardest things you can do mentally. And I'll be real honest for a moment, and this isn't to get anybody like upset at anybody, but when I first put SheFi out there in 2020, I got a lot of spiteful messages on the internet and crypto in that time saying, why do you need to create this? Like, just tearing me apart, basically, just like ad hominem attacks on Twitter one day for SheFi. And that really set my confidence actually like back a lot in that time.
And wait, I want to be clear. Don't call them out by name. I mean, it was a long time ago, and I think you've forgiven them.
Yes.
And who were the haters? Describe the haters.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the haters were actually women in the space already who thought by creating a community for women in an educational program, I was like coddling women. And, they had gotten successful in crypto by figuring it out themselves. So why do we need to help people figure it out? And to be clear, these were people who had not taken my course. They had not interviewed me. They knew nothing about SheFi except for like, a few tweets on the internet. And I was like just getting started. I want to bring that up because they've apologized. I've forgiven them. It's really water under the bridge. When I saw that happen, I actually shut Twitter down because I was like, there's nothing good from me watching this happen. And I had tons of incredible supporters come to bat for SheFi. But I thought because of that moment, I couldn't ask for fiscal sponsorship for SheFi. So for the first 2 years of SheFi, it was all out of my own paycheck. And I thought, people don't think this is a good idea. I just have to believe that women think this is a good idea. And I'll prove to the crypto community over time that this is a valuable space. This deserves sponsorship. This deserves funding. Like, women deserve this type of community and content. And it's going to be something special. So I definitely got the chip on my shoulder, but it set me back, and I was like afraid to ask for money because I was so afraid of that criticism on the internet. And, it just was really hard to deal with. But I'll say what did help me was my supporters. We're the first women in my cohort. We're meeting them. We're hearing that they were able to divorce their husbands, get a job in crypto, and pay for their daughter's childcare because of my course. And they were in a very non-traditional, low-paying industry before. So that's what kept me going. But I still really had to get used to putting myself out there, rejection, putting myself out there, rejection. And I would say that, it's 5 years into this. Really, a lot of that changed in 2022, where I just saw the immense value I was creating and how much time and energy I was putting into it. And it was like, no, this is, I can start really asking for money for this from protocols. Like, I'm putting time into this. I'm working for this. I'm doing this so women all over the world who might not have the membership fee can be brought in. And, it's just that repeated putting it out there, not listening to the haters, still building, proving it, and then just really having to be like, even if all the sponsors reject me, like, I'm used to it now. I'm building in public. So I think a lot of that has just been, I think it's important to put yourself out there and get some of those bruises sometimes. Like, we have to realize that the world's not always going to love your ideas, but it's most important that you don't give up on your idea, right? It was most important that it doesn't really matter what people thought of SheFi. It mattered if I let them stop me. And although it slowed me down with like sponsorships and asking for money, and I really bootstrapped SheFi with my own paychecks the first 2 years, I did, like, never stop believing in my vision and my mission and the space I was creating. It was amplified by my female friends who did support me and the women in SheFi. And then I finally got the courage to start asking for money. And if there are rejections in that space, someone always came in. And now I'm like, you can say whatever you want. You can reject me. I'm still going to come back and probably tap sponsors for money. I've really just, because I've had those moments where it hurt a little and stung a little, but I never gave up on my idea, I've really come to like a new state of acceptance and grace and comfortable with rejection and comfortable with what people say on the internet in a way that, like, 2 to 3 years ago, I really struggled because of that social, right? We see the social, we live in the era of social feedback. And so it can be very hard when that feedback is not positive, but that just can't stop you. And
I said this was going to be the last question, but maybe just to keep double clicking on this, like, what's your relationship with your former haters now? Do you still hold any grudges against them? Like, what's the relationship there?
No, not at all. So I decided after that moment happened to just not talk about it, not talk about these people to anybody. Just like it, into my book, it was like it didn't happen. Not worth ever bad talking people, bad mouthing people. It was 2020. People were inside the whole year. Like, I just assumed like people were having a really bad day. They apologized to me in 2021 in my DMs, and then publicly, like at a party, we were in the same space, and now we're like friends, right? And I just like to think that, they've seen what I've built. They were having a bad moment. They didn't have the full picture. I think there's a lot of commentary on Twitter where it's not the full picture. So you just really have to be careful of what you let impact you. And I'm not here to hold grudges. That's really something I've worked hard on. Even Web3 Cloud failing, I did not hold any grudges with my co-founders. I just was like, really wonderful working with you. Let's stay in touch. And I've never burned a bridge and was like, I'm so glad I burned that bridge. That's never happened in my life. And I think you're young youth, you kind of like in your 20s or whatever, you have more like, I don't know, something about it. It feels like maybe I don't want to talk to that person again. But I've really been like, I want to keep all my relationships open. I want to have grace for everybody. And I think that's really helped me, go through more challenging moments just with that mindset. So we're friends, we're good. It was a great teaching moment. And if you're ever dealing with that, we have, the SheFi Discord. You can come and ask us, how to handle building in public.
I'll end it with a quote that I know you and I both love from Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Something that we always remind ourselves of. Okay, I would love to open up to the floor. The chat is very vibrant. Ask away. You've got the disco queen here. You can ask her anything you want. So I'm watching the chat. Please ask away, and I will field questions from the audience.
Yes. I'm wondering, I can't see the chat from Unlonely, so I'm not sure what's going on over there.
I can see it.
Oh, you can see it. Any questions in there?
Here's a tactical one. Have there been any changes and updates to the curriculum for season 10?
Yes, great question. So the curriculum is about 13 weeks long. It's a lot, but it's really the best way to get up to speed on every single use case going on in the space. The curriculum always changes a little bit depending on what the hot topics are. Truly, when I started SheFi in 2019, there was 5 DeFi protocols, and I was like, great, I'm going to create 5 classes. And then 2021, NFTs happened, and then DAOs and governance and Web3 social, that's going to go through a big change. Topics you can expect is Zerion is our season 10 sponsor. Everyone say thank you to Zerion. They're enabling many, many women to join SheFi as scholars. With that, we're going to do a deep dive on the Zerion wallet, how they're becoming a really user-friendly wallet, and you'll do all your quests. So we have quests for each week, on-chain activities. We'll start with the Zerion wallet, and we'll learn about their whole ecosystem. And another topic that we're going to be diving deeper on is artificial intelligence. We're going to have a really exciting announcement to share with you at ETH Denver. So if you're at ETH Denver, you're going to get the first announcement of a partnership with an AI company that you all know. So we'll be really doing workshops and teaching you how to use these tools to support your career, support your creativity, support your goals.
Fantastic. I've got a bunch of questions here.
Okay.
So maybe we just go into rapid fire mode. Thank you everyone for putting the questions out. How do you join SheFi? What are the requirements?
The requirements are that you're just a curious woman who wants to reinvent her career in Web3. There is a link that we will share, and you just have to enroll. If you need a scholarship, you'll select scholarship. We'll send you one more form. It'll take 5 minutes. We'll review it, and we'll get back to you with the scholars. But if you're curious at all, just join us.
Great. Got a question here I can answer. Can previous SheFi cohorts join season 10? Absolutely. I think it's something that we've seen a lot of interest in this year is prior cohorts coming back and refreshing their knowledge, because we know crypto changes so frequently and the curriculum changes. What's the thing you've most enjoyed about creating SheFi?
Most enjoyed. It's the community building. We just had a event last night in Brooklyn. About 70 women came through, and you're all amazing. I can't believe that I get to spend time with all of you. It's the community that keeps me going, obsessed with refining the course, obsessed with refining our events. I really am team woman, and I think we're going to do amazing things shaping this future. And it's just my love for spending time with all of you and knowing that we can really change things if we band together and support one another.
Fantastic. When do classes start for season 10?
March 4th. So the week of March 4th, it'll start on that Tuesday. Classes will be Tuesday and Thursday around 8 a.m. Eastern. You'll get sign-up links next week, and that way we can cover the entire globe. We have people in China, Africa, San Francisco. So we're really trying to pick a time where everyone is awake. Sorry, San Francisco, it's a bit early, but hopefully you're awake.
This is a good one. How did you make the decision to choose between company and DAO?
Yes, I started SheFi in 2019, so there was really no DAO. There was MakerDAO, there was MetaCartel, which was the first investment DAO, but SheFi is a product of there not being such things as DAOs with NFT launches and token launches in that way. If I did launch a token, I might go to jail if something happens, so wasn't trying to take that risk on. However, we do have decentralized opportunities to take leadership roles in SheFi. So there are many parts of it that really empower the women to take leadership. We have local chapter leads. We have different communities in Discord that are really part of really shepherding the experience. So there are DAO-like parts, but there is no token in SheFi. We're just a little bit older than the DAO.
Very important. Every project needs to always say no token. Maggie, what was the thing that made you start SheFi? There's a lot of reasons, like your purpose, but what was the tipping point?
The tipping point, I think, was really thinking of the name, like DeFi SheFi. I was like, wow, this is such a good name. And the tipping point, was the name, and just seeing that there were actually 0 women building, using, playing DeFi. A report came out in 2020 that confirmed my intuition. 99% of DeFi users were between the ages of like 25 and 40 and men, right? So I think that every woman deserves to contribute to this space, take advantage of what it offers, and own the future. So it was just seeing 0 women, like 0, and thinking of the name SheFi. That definitely helped be like, oh, this is a great idea. Like, why not me? I can do it.
Great. If you there's some rapid fire kind of tactical questions I can answer. If you sign up for the course, do you get access to the summit? Anyone can attend the summit, even if you haven't taken the course. So it's a great preview of the community. It's amazing. We will make sure to follow up with everyone here who signed up via email with just a list of resources. Can someone with no background or knowledge of blockchain understand this curriculum? Absolutely. This is supposed to take you from zero to expert. Here's a very fun one. What recommendation would Maggie give to somebody who's learning to DJ?
Just keep practicing. For me, it's all about listening to music nonstop. So I'm always having music in the background. And if it piques my interest, if I actually am like, oh, that's interesting, I put it in a list and ask friends. I had friends steward me into DJing, and just, get on there and keep trying. Beat match and just loop. Beat match and loop. Don't have to get too complicated with the transitions. It's all about the music. Beat match, loop, and you'll have a good time.
A couple questions. If I have experience in crypto, would it still be helpful? Yes, sure. I think probably give you more familiarity. How much time will you expect to spend per week? I believe it's 2 hours of content and 1 hour of walkthroughs, but Maggie, confirm?
Yes, it's about 3 hours total. It'll be 2 to 3. So content will be about, an hour and a half. Then we sometimes have a guest speaker, and then we have demos. So it'll be in total 3 hours a week. But if you spend that 3 hours in the class, you'll be able to close the 50 tabs that you have open that you never get to. So you're really being like, I'm committed to this time. I know I'm going to learn something. I know it's going to help me, versus you thinking like you're going to spend 3 hours doing it on a Saturday. So
Yep.
I'm really cutting out all the extra work. So it's not that big of a time investment if you think about how much time you spend just scrolling Twitter and, trying to research on your own. So we curated it for you. I curated it for you. Come to class.
The classes are conducted on Zoom. And so when you sign up, a Zoom link will be sent out. Thank you to all the people coming back from prior seasons. Very, very cool. Obviously, always need a refresh in crypto. How can we help you grow SheFi, Maggie?
Yeah, how can you help me grow? Well, there are still signups for season 10. Tell every woman in your life your moms, your grandmas, your daughters, your sisters. Plenty of women bring their daughters to class with them. Anyone that you think loves learning and deserves to be a part of this new internet that we're shaping, tell them. Tweet, but really what I find works is personal messages. So definitely take the link, say that it's impacted you. I greatly appreciate that. And then follow up with them and make sure they sign up, because we have a lot of things vying for our attention. So that follow through, growing the amount of women coming in will definitely make the biggest impact on SheFi right now.
Referrals and just telling people candidly about your experience, and telling us in the chat, what you think about it and giving us feedback. Is it okay to miss a class? I think it is okay to miss a class. Most of the classes are standalone, so don't feel like if you miss a class, your season's dead. Come back for the next one and watch the first one that you missed, async or recorded. Okay, let's see. I'm switching to another chat. Are you going to have a SheFi event in Asia? Yes, DevCon
Yes.
Bangkok. Get ready. And Token 2049 in Singapore. So multiple trips to Asia this year. Confirming time, Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern?
Yes, 8 or 8:30. We'll make a decision this weekend. 8:30 gives me a little bit more time to get my coffee in, but we'll want to make sure that Asia can still join us.
I know how important the coffee is because I make it every day.
Yes.
All right. Great question here. Do you plan on expanding outside of just ETH?
Yes, I'm open to it. So right now we really work with protocols to build content. So they sponsor us so we can build content and give scholarships. And we've reached out to the Solana ecosystems and other ecosystems. We might be doing some stuff with Near. So you're going to learn a bit about the Near ecosystem as well as Zerion. So that's a brand new ecosystem. She is Near is going to help us get some demos, and you'll get experience in that space as well. And what I'd like to say is a lot of the mechanics are portable to other ecosystems. So you're not just learning about Ethereum, but you're learning about the mechanics of automated market makers or proof of stake or scaling ecosystems. And, you're going to learn words that you're going to see in Solana, in Avalanche, in Aptos, in Near. So you're not going to, SheFi is like this base. And then from there you can jump off. And we have lots of women in the community in these ecosystems who give their own community-led sessions.
Okay, last few minutes. last few questions, and then I'll let you sign it off, Maggie. This is so inspiring, says Carly. You got started in crypto at age 27. That's how old she is. What were you doing before? What brought you to crypto?
Yeah, that's a great story. I was at IBM Watson. So I was in AI, Watson for Financial Services, and I was rounding out my third year there. And I was in a corporate strategy meeting. So all of IBM, the VP, right under Ginny Rometty, who was the CEO at the time, we're in a big room in Astor Place in New York. And we were talking about all the technologies we need to focus on in financial services. And there was this one guy on the phone, not in person, and he kept being like, blockchain, 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 blockchain. And everyone was like, mute that guy. He's so annoying. And I was like, wait, he's excited about something at IBM? Like, no one's excited about anything at IBM. And I was like, I have to follow up on that excitement. I was very curious about this new technology. I literally went to a physical bookstore in Union Square, New York, Barnes and Noble, searched blockchain, and just took the first book off the shelf. It was called The Blockchain Revolution. I read it in about 2 days, and it was all about the use cases: zero tokens, cross border remittances, supply chain, identity, circular economies. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, this feels like the future and tech for good. Like, I don't want to work on back end banking processes with AI anymore. I want to go build the future. And I spent every single free moment I had at work hiding in cubicles when I was at home, trying to figure out what blockchain was, what companies were hiring. And there was not a lot of information on the internet at the time. DMing recruiters, I finally found someone that worked at Consensus who was a friend of a friend. He went to college with some of my friends, asked for an intro. We got coffee in Bushwick next to Consensus. I went into the office, and the next is history. And really, that story was about curiosity. So I couldn't let it go. I heard excitement. I was like, I must follow up on that. I read about the technology. I got super curious about it, and I wouldn't stop figuring out how to be a part of it until I actually got that job at Consensus. So I would definitely follow those curiosities, follow those passions, follow those intuitions, and don't give up. There was plenty of companies I interviewed for that were like random chains, and recruiters that would say, we don't have the role for you. And I just didn't stop until I found the company and the role that I wanted.
I think that's a fantastic place to end. Reminder to sign up for season 10. Signups end at the end of the month, and classes start on March 4th. And also a reminder that Maggie's going to be around the world this year, starting in Denver at the end of the month on February 28th, hosting SheFi Summit Denver, a fantastic event, probably the best in crypto. Imagine a room in crypto that is majority women, never seen it before. Energy is incredible. And she will also be in Belgium for ECC and Singapore for 2049, and Bangkok for DevCon, as well as some community events elsewhere. Thank you, everyone, for joining the AMA. We had a lot of fun answering your questions. Maggie will follow up with a bunch of resources that were requested: how to sign up for Summit, how to sign up for the cohort, when things start. We will send those FAQs to you after. Thanks, everyone. Super fun. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. And as a little surprise, I'm going to take John off the screen, and I'm actually going to bring a SheFi member on the screen to tell you a bit about her story and have her join us. Laurel?
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. I'm gonna stay off video this morning, but I hope you can see my RoboNova, my
Yes.
NFT that I minted thanks to SheFi. So I'm really happy to be here with you, Maggie and Jonathan and everyone tuning in. I was a member of SheFi cohort 8, which was at the beginning of last year in 2023. And that was part of a kind of larger career transition that I was making from the nonprofit space in the US to wanting to gain more technical skills and going through a user experience bootcamp. And I found out about SheFi actually from my partner, who has been involved in the crypto space for a long time, and thought that it would be a really good complement to my user experience curriculum to understand this emerging technology of blockchain and crypto. I had a lot of ideas for how it might apply to the immigration space, which is where I had been working for many years prior to that. So I am a proud and grateful scholarship recipient. That meant a lot to me to be able to participate in SheFi at a time when I wasn't working full time. And I just found that the curriculum and the community was so valuable and so energizing. I came in with very little technical knowledge about blockchain and crypto. My partner does a great job explaining things and teaching me. So this was a great next step. And actually, it makes me laugh with the Valentine's post you've been sending out this week, Maggie. That feels very relevant to our situation. Um, so yeah, I mean, by way of the intros, which happen every week, of being able to meet other members of SheFi around the world, I started to get more confident in talking about what I was interested in, and the career trajectory that I was hoping to be in. And thanks to Maggie and SheFi, the SheFi team, and then other people that I met within the SheFi community, I was able to find a job and secure a job at the end of last year at Consensus as well. So I just feel so grateful for this entire program, for this entire group of women and people, and really feel like a success story, and that I was able to transition my career, and I am really excited for what comes next. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in Denver. I'm just excited to see where this goes and to be part of it all with you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Laurel. It's I even got to meet Laurel last year in Denver as well, and hype her up on her journey. And I'm excited to see you again. And really, that's what SheFi is all about. It's the curriculum, it's the content, it's the community. So once you get in, you'll be able to sign up for an intros bot that pairs you one-to-one with a different woman all over the world, either once a week, every other week, or once a month. And it's what I really hope I've developed is a lot of different learning modalities, through content, through trying things, through meeting other people and talking to them, through getting some peer support, through coming to in-person events. And it's really all about instilling that confidence, that belief in you, and then giving you all the tools to learn what you need to learn. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Laurel, and I will see you in Denver. Okay, everyone, like John said, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for spending a little bit more time learning about SheFi, learning about why it's so important to me, and I think really important for this space, and important for all of you to just take that step and say yes and commit to learning. You'll have a global community supporting you. You'll have lots of opportunities to learn and try and ask questions, and we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. There'll be lots of disco music. So I really hope you join us for season 10, and then join us at one of our events around the world, and join us in our community and bring your expertise, your uniqueness, your ability to support others into this SheFi world that we're continuing to build. Thank you so much. You'll get an email with lots of links. If you haven't signed up for SheFi, I highly encourage it, because next week you're going to start getting onboarded into our different parts, into our Discords, into our intros bot, into our Teachable platform where you'll watch recordings. So the sooner you sign up, the sooner you get to really join the SheFi universe. Thank you so much. I'm Maggie Love, the founder of SheFi, and have a beautiful weekend, everyone.